So welcome to the Institute for Democracy and Higher Education, Maps for Political Learning. This is a scenario example designed for those who are funders or potential funders who are thinking, how could I support campus learning in the political realm using this map maybe as a basis? So depending on the kind of funder you are or the kind of context you're in, you might be a national funder, you might be more of a statewide or regional funder, or you might be a very local community funder, like a community foundation. So, really, the important first step is for you to get to the view that is most useful for you to look at information. So, if you're a national funder, it might be this current view, this extent view. Whereas, say you're a statewide funder in Oregon, you might want to just zoom in on the state of Oregon to get a better sense of the state context, or even if you're like a Northwest funder, the entire Northwest region. Right now, I'm going to assume that maybe you're a funder interested in Southern California, maybe the greater Los Angeles area. And so I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. And so I want to get sort of a geographic context that's useful for me. That's a little bit too far in. So one thing as a funder, I might want just get a sense of the lay of the land of what kinds of institutions are in my funding region. So here we can just sort of see a range of institutions. It looks like quite a number of them if we're looking at institutions of higher ed by their Carnegie classification types, which are these associates, bachelor's, and master's degree levels. You might want to see that, wow, there seem to be quite a number of associate level institutions in this southern region. If I want to zoom in a little bit more on Los Angeles, it seems to be there's both a combination of um, both associate's levels, but also some master's levels, and even maybe some bachelor's levels. So there's a mix of institutional types. So as a funder, you might be trying to figure out what kind of student population might I be interested in supporting. Is it mostly two-year college goers, low-income youth who might be at community colleges, or maybe it's more liberal arts majors or folks who are professionals going through a master's program. So this could help you maybe think of the kind of student population you might be interested in funding. You also might be interested in understanding whether, and sorry, this is a pop-up of the state region. You might also be interested in understanding um, what campuses have already indicated that they're sort of interested in political learning by becoming members of the NSOL study. So you'll see some of these campuses with little stars on top of them. And in fact, let me show you how we can kind of turn off and on some of these layers. We'll come over here to this little content area, turn it on, and let's unclick the overall state level. Let's unclick the institution level, and now we can just see where the community colleges are. And so here you're thinking like, okay, like these campuses that have yellow stars are interested in political learning because they're part of this NSOLVE study. Let's see what kind of campuses they are. We can kind of look at, oh, California State, that's one. Um, I might click over here. Oh, Los Angeles Mission College. So you can kind of start to get an understanding. If you wanted to see more of a table view, you can click on this little table, show table, um, and hopefully it was responding a bit slowly. Okay, it's taking a while for the table to show up. Whoops. We'll try one more time. I think I need to just not click on it so quickly. It's somehow responding pretty slowly. We can get a table view of all of the colleges here. And this actually gives us a look at all of the colleges and universities here in this table of all states, not just the area we're viewing at. And from that, we can select certain records. So we could probably select the ones that are in California, um, or center selection in this area. Oops. Um, so you could do a selection to show records, let's say in let's select them by ascending order, and then we could find the California state, the colleges that way. So you could bring up a table of information that way. I'm going to hide the table here. Again, I could also just click on it here. Again, it's a slow response time. So that might be one thing as a funder you're looking at. You're just trying to look at the geographic distribution, but you also might want to be interested in places where there might be a high percentage of college students enrolled on campuses because you want to really focus your efforts. So here I've turned on the congressional district layer because it gives a little more fine tuning. And we can see right here in this center part outside of Santa Monica that we have some higher concentrations of youth on campus or percentage of youth engaged or enrolled in campus. And we have a cluster of universities, and many of them are part of NSOLVE. So this might be a way to concentrate some funding on these if that's your interest. Or perhaps you're interested in kind of engaging some campuses that currently aren't very politically engaged. So you might want to try to contact these campuses that have kind of aren't part of the NSOLVE study and maybe trying to encourage them to think of the kinds of resources that are available or thinking about political learning, and NSOLVE might be a way to get them engaged. We could also look at voter turnout. So say we want to look at voter turnout in the last presidential election, which we have at the state level. That doesn't tell us much, but we could get a better sense by looking at the 2014 at the congressional district level. And we can actually see, wow, there's actually, even though we have sort of these college students in the center part here, and they were also a high percentage of youth enrolled in college, there's actually not the highest voter turnout record. So actually there might be some opportunities to fund some efforts to really get young college goers really engaged in learning about the political system more and really thinking about elections as a way to do that. So there's a number of different ways in which you can cut this data and think about it in terms of funding priorities. So it really depends on your geographic area that you're looking at, the kind of institution or population you might want to tackle, and then really trying to think about the data that is available here or that you know from your other pursuits is out there. So this is one way in which a funder might start to use some of this data here involved on the map for political learning. And certainly the folks at the Institute for Democracy and Higher Education are more than happy to talk to funders about other ways in which the data and knowledge they have about college campuses and political learning on college campuses might meet funding goals, priorities, or opportunities that your organization might be looking to fund or working with funders to fund. So that's a brief overview of a type of scenario of way in which funders might use this data.